Hello. Welcome back to Ongoing World Affairs. Prince Harry said he and other Afghanistan war veterans are bound by a shared experience and that the horrifying scenes from Kabul resonate across them as he urges former soldiers to offer support for one another. But said nothing about Joe Biden's handling of the crisis. The Duke of Sussex, who spent 10 years in the British Army and performed 2 frontline tours of Afghanistan during the 2-decade Western intervention, was speaking in his capacity as founder of the Invictus Games Foundation for Wounded Warriors. Amid scenes of frightened Afghans trying to flee a return to brutal Islamist theocracy after the Taliban captured the capital city Kabul, Harry and senior figures from the Games said, "What's happening in Afghanistan resonates across the international Invictus community." Many of the participating nations and competitors in the Invictus Games family are bound by a shared experience of serving in Afghanistan over the past 2 decades, and for several years, we have competed alongside Invictus Games Team Afghanistan. We encourage everybody across the Invictus network, and the wider military community, to reach out to each other and offer support for one another. Harry has known President Biden and his wife, First Lady Jill Biden, for several years, and both have been publicly supportive of the Duke's Invictus Games. Harry and Meghan were praised by White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki after their courageous bombshell Oprah interview. When asked if the US president had any reaction to the chat, Ms. Psaki said, "For anyone to come forward and speak about their own struggles with mental health and tell their own personal story, that takes courage, and that's certainly something the president believes." Just weeks before last year's presidential election, Harry urged US voters to reject hate speech, and Meghan called the ballot the most important of our lifetime in remarks which made waves on both sides of the Atlantic, and suggested they were supporting Mr. Biden. The US Embassy has been evacuated and the American flag lowered, with diplomats relocating to the airport in scenes reminiscent of the evacuation of the Embassy of Saigon in 1975. Other Western countries have also closed their missions and are flying out staff and civilians after the Taliban walked into Kabul's presidential palace. The head of German Chancellor Angela Merkel's party, Armin Laschet, called it the biggest NATO debacle since the founding of the alliance, while MPs accused Prime Minister Boris Johnson of a shameful silence and questioned if he did enough to discourage President Biden from withdrawing US troops. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said he was concerned by accounts of human rights violations against the women and girls of Afghanistan who fear a return to the darkest days of the 1990s when the Taliban came to power after the civil war and imposed a brutal theocracy. Afghanistan's representative to the UN Security Ghulam Essaychai told a meeting of the 5 powers, the US, Britain, China, Russia and France, on Monday that there are already reports of target killings and looting in the city. Kabul residents are reported that the Taliban have already started house-to-house searches in some neighborhoods, registering names and looking for people in their target list, he added. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has also come under fire from critics and political rivals for hightailing out of the country as the Taliban stormed the presidential palace last night. The Russian embassy claimed that he had fled in a helicopter full of cash. His whereabouts remain unknown. Thanks for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe.